This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Well, hello there and welcome to the latest Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo. I'm Joe Rimmett and I'm joined today by three fine gentlemen to discuss what is going to be a very, very busy week. And it has been a busy day already. On my far right is the tall man, tall Paul Gorst. How are you?
Yes, Joe, I'm all right. Busy day, busy week, as you say. Start as you mean to go on, I guess.
Here's Connor Dunn. Hi, Connor.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm
good.
And on my left is Matt Addison.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Enjoying your loan spell?
I am indeed, yeah. A busy week, I think, today, from today onwards, so exciting times.
You're like our Stephen Corker, aren't you?
Stephen Corker.
He's not that bad.
James Milner I was described as last week, so...
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Take James
Much
Milner
better.
all day.
I'll take Milner.
How are we feeling? You two were both on our Christmas night out on Saturday night. It was
I've got a 2-day hangover.
2-day hangover.
I went at 6 a.m. and I was in here for 8:30. So
yeah, well, you do. I don't know how you do that.
No,
live the dream.
I'm not actually. I wasn't actually too bad for some reason. Managed to get away with it.
I felt all right on Sunday, which is strange, really, because now my hangovers. Once I hit 30, it was like that was like
it's
end
so
of days.
grim when the lights come on.
Oh, yeah.
It's dark and it's light outside.
Right. Well, no one wants to hear about our. Maybe they do want to hear about our work night out. Might do a special. Let's record a
Sadly,
special.
we've got a lot to get through.
Yeah. But we've got a hell of a lot to get through. So we'll start with the Champions League draw. Liverpool drawn against Atletico Madrid. Very interesting draw, Gorsty. Do you think it was the toughest perhaps Liverpool could have got?
I'd say so. I think a lot of fans would have preferred Real Madrid. Maybe a chance to even a score from Kiev, and Real Madrid are not the force that they were 2-3 years ago. This one is a little bit more difficult in terms of Atletico have had the same sort of system and manager in place for quite a while now, and Diego Simeone, he's very intense, he drills his players, he's got a superb defence. Liverpool are going to have to break them down, and Atletico scratch and claw for everything, and they are a very good side, so it'll be an interesting one, back to the Wanda Metropolitano for Klopp and his players. It's an exciting one, but could have been easier. Certainly could have been easier. But I think Liverpool probably got enough to get past them over the two legs. They don't score too many goals. Very good defensively, but have lost a little bit maybe since Antoine Griezmann's gone to Barcelona. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in those two legs.
Connor, you wanted Real Madrid. How did you feel when the neighbours came out the
Yeah, do you know what, quite honestly, I wanted Madrid, just as Gorsty said, to even the score because, I back Liverpool to beat Real Madrid in knockout football any day of the week at the moment, so that was kind of where my feeling lies with that. But, a trip back to the Wanda Metropolitano is going to be, the atmosphere is going to be absolutely bouncing. Yeah. And I think that will really, really help Liverpool. And a couple of things to note about Atletico, although they are a really tough defensive side, they've conceded the least goals in the league of this season, as per usual, got one of the best defences in Europe. They, again, as Gorst said, don't score goals. They've only scored 18 in 17 league games. And that is the same as the likes of 17th place Mallorca and things like that. So Liverpool, I think, teams have set up against them this season to frustrate them, which Atletico will do. And they've set up a defensive unit, which Liverpool have had to break down. And time again, we've seen Liverpool break them down. And, they probably haven't got quite the quality Atletico have got, but you'd think Liverpool over 180 minutes a game at Anfield will put a few past them, and I don't think they see him scoring many in return.
It's a good point Connor makes, Matt. I hadn't really thought of it like that. I was going to say styles make fights is the phrase, but styles make football matches as well. And I thought of this one as a very tough one, but as Connor says, with that experience for Liverpool, which is almost like a weekly experience for them now, setting up, trying to take on teams that set up in a defensive manner, will that come in handy when the two sides face each other in February and March?
I think so. I mean, obviously it's a real tough draw to come up against, but I think I'd have backed Liverpool against any of those teams, to be honest. I think Atletico are probably the most difficult, but as you say, Liverpool have shown over the last few weeks, months, probably a year or so now, that teams do just sit back and put banks of four there, and as much as Atletico are probably the best in the world at doing that, Liverpool have shown that they can do it against other sides. So yeah, I think Mo Salah and Firmino and Mane should have enough to get at least one or two goals, and as Connor said, that might just be enough to get Liverpool through.
Well, hopefully. Should we move on to Aston Villa? We've got a lot to get through, haven't we?
It's a whistle-stop pod,
I could just say, though, before we move on, I don't think the influence of the Wanda being back there is going to have such a bearing on that game. And I think obviously Liverpool fans, when they travel away to anywhere, travel in great numbers and go really well. But so many fans, if we're in Madrid that time, so many fans are going to want to go to this again. They're going to get in there by hook or by crook just because Liverpool lifted there. And I just think it's going to feel almost like a home game just because how well Liverpool did and how the support was and how that whole vibe was in Madrid when you won the European Cup. And I just think that can't be underestimated, really. I think that will help a lot.
That's a good point. They are a team in transition.
They are indeed.
Atletico. I mean, you had a little look at them before, and they've had a high turnover of players, haven't they? Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit of money in the summer. £113 million on Hal Felix and a few other players. Kieran Trippier being one of them. Obviously losing Griezmann, as Gorst said, it's kind of a period of where they're just kind of finding their feet again a little bit. I think so. I think Liverpool playing them at probably a good time.
Quite excited about it. I have to admit, I, when they came out, I just think it'll be interesting. Liverpool have tested themselves against most of Europe's heavyweights, haven't they, in recent years, and they pose a very different type of threat. So I love Diego Simeone. He's just one big angry man, isn't he? And having him marching up and down the Anfield touchline is going to be fascinating.
I've wanted him to come to the Premier League for years, Yeah.
I love his all black suits as well. It looks like a gangster. Yeah, great character. Anyway, talking of great characters, Neil Critchley took his first proper Liverpool press conference today.
Yeah.
You were down there, Gorsty. What was it like? What did he have to say? It was a quieter room than normal, I suppose.
It was, and he said we're basically in a no lose situation here. There's, we're going out there and no one's expecting us to do anything. And he said as long as the players are there for each other and stick together, then whatever happens will be a successful night for so many young players. The biggest game in so many of I'd pretty much say every player. Biggest game in every player's career who's selected tomorrow night at Villa Park, Carabao Cup quarter-final, representing the Liverpool first team. Something new every one of them will have had dreams of doing for years. So it's going to be a great night for them. The onus isn't on them to win it. I think it's a case of make a good account of yourselves and see what happens. There'll be no recriminations and no inquests if Liverpool do go out against what's a senior Aston Villa side who are probably quite safe in the Premier League, aren't they? And we'll have serious designs on getting to the semi-finals. So, be an interesting one. It's one where the fans are going to be right behind them, because it's going to be so many young lads out there for the first time, and they're going to get the backing of the fans who go to Villa Park, and it'll be a bit of an interesting one. Neil Critchley said that whatever happens, I asked him how much time has he had to prepare his team tactically and technically for this, because there's been so much uncertainty over who's actually going to be playing in this game, because I think most of us thought Nico Williams and Curtis Jones would be involved, and they were on the plane to Doha yesterday. So he said maybe not as much time as he would have normally had or liked, but at the end of the day, this is going to be a Liverpool team and they're going to play in the Liverpool spirit. So I'm really looking forward to it. Me and Conor are going to be down there at Villa Park, and it's going to be a fairly unique game, I'd suggest.
Yeah, it is an exciting one, isn't it, Conor, just because of how different. A lot of pressure, I'd say, on Aston Villa tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I think, as Gorst said there, it's a little bit like a free hit for Liverpool, because nobody in their right mind could expect them to go and win that game. But, they've got some really talented young players. It's going to be difficult. We know Villa spent over £100 million in the summer to come up to the Premier League, and they're a strong side. And we were talking earlier, weren't we? And it's when you have sort of 16, 17-year-olds, and not always quite as big as you might think they might be, and they're coming up against fully grown men, athletes at the end of the day, and
Wesley's a unit, isn't he?
And they are still growing, but it's going to be a really exciting glimpse into the future and a chance for these young Liverpool players to really test their mettle against really strong senior opposition in a game of real magnitude as well. It's a League Cup quarter-final, and so that is the interest and the intrigue. But then it's also intriguing just because of how Liverpool playing 2 first-team games in under 24 hours, and nobody quite knows what's going to happen. It's just this really interesting game. Yeah,
but Matt, you watch a lot of the under-23s and the under-18s. Who should we look out for tomorrow? Because it's not even, you might usually say Curtis Jones, mightn't you? But he won't be there. You might usually say Nico Williams, but he won't be there. So who else should be? You've got your don't try and slide. There's cameras set up. You don't have to name the team, because we will try and name a team
together.
No, we'll let you do it later. But who do you think we should look out for?
So as you say, it's going to be a real interesting night. I think Harvey Elliott is the one that's on everyone's lips, isn't he? Just, even though he is so young, it's a big opportunity for him to show what he can do and sort of take a bit of responsibility, even though he's only 16. He's one of those sort of almost the more experienced players in that team. So we'll see how they get on in terms of him. But I think probably we're looking at someone like Herbie Kane coming into midfield. I think
he's a bit older, Herbie Kane.
Yeah, he must be about 21 now, I think.
Did well last season in League One, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was at Doncaster last season. Did quite well. I think he's sort of at an age now where if he's not going to make it at Liverpool, this is a perfect opportunity to sort of go out and show, say, a Championship team, this is what I'm good at, this is what I can do, and sort of put his name on the map a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of defensively, I know we're going to come on to it later, there's very few options. I think Keanu Hoover, Vandenberg are probably going to play. Kelleher as well, I thought he did well in the previous round, so it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. And probably the one I'd pick out is probably Louis Longstaff. I think he's in with a chance, with a shortage of options up front, and I think a nice tricky winger, good on the ball. Again, not the biggest, not the most physical, but certainly a player that if you get him into the right areas and get him just a second or two to think about things, he can find a good pass. So a few different names to look out for that we probably haven't seen too much of before.
What do you think the average age of this team is going to be? I mean, who are the youngest performers that we're likely to see?
I mean, Harvey Elliott's only 16, isn't he? There's going to be probably Pedro Chiravella. I think will probably play. He must be 20,
older, isn't he?
22
he's
now.
Better than him, isn't he?
Yeah. So he'll bring it up. But I mean, the average it's got to be.
It's going to be the teens, isn't it?
It's got to be 18, 19, hasn't it?
Yeah. The two Leightons, were they both play Leighton Stewart and Leighton Clark?
I was at the academy on Saturday afternoon, and both of them played 90 minutes for the under-23s. So I would imagine they'd be on the bench rather than starting.
Yeah.
I think they probably would have come off a little bit earlier if they had this game in mind. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see with so many, so few options to choose from. There's probably a good chance they'll come off the bench.
Was it Leighton Stewart that was in training with Liverpool's first team?
Leighton Clarkson.
He's
a very diminutive midfielder, great passing range. I was like watching him actually, but I was in Salzburg last week for the UEFA youth game, and for 70 minutes Liverpool were really up against a Salzburg team who were, they look like men, very physical, very strong and quick and athletic, and it was a little bit of a worry thinking how are these lads going to react when they play Aston Villa next week. And to be fair, they stuck in, they dug in, and from somewhere they've managed to pull it back to 2-2, and they've actually won the game with the last kick of the game, literally the last kick. And Neil Pritchie said today that the mentality that Jurgen Klopp has kind of fostered in his first team, that seeps down to the under-23s, and they've got a similar type of thing. So hopefully it's going to be a case of that they're not just going to get turned over, 5s and 6s, and then they will make a good account of themselves and see how far that might take them on the night.
I suppose, Conor, that is the one thing they need to avoid, isn't it? They don't want to be thrashed and embarrassed in front of the watching world, do they?
Yeah, certainly so. And it is, again, it's just, as Gorst said, it's about making a good account of themselves. And, as Matt rightly said as well, for people like Herbie Kane, it might be a chance to put themselves in the shop window, as you like. But they've got a few really highly rated players, like Leighton Clarkson, for example, might not start, but, he's a couple of years probably of where they would even expect him to be. Kelleher, really highly rated by the goalkeeping staff at Liverpool. These lads are in and around the first team training at Melwood, so they'll be used to that. They're coming up against Liverpool's senior team in training and pitting themselves against them. So I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine when they come to it. And they've dug in so many times already this season to come back from losing positions and things. So they're used to it, and that mentality they've got will certainly serve them well.
Well, Gorsey, everyone knows that the Carabao Cup is the greatest competition in the history of football, but Liverpool have won it, I think, 7 times. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 7 times. And they've never won the Club World Cup. There's been some suggestion today, Ian Ladyman in the Mail, highly respected football reporter, says that they should have overlooked the Carabao Cup, the Club World Cup, sent the kids there and gone all in on the Carabao Cup, and that Liverpool fans would have wanted to have seen Jurgen Klopp do that. Look, I'm not digging out Ian Ladyman, but I think he's got that one wrong, hasn't he? Yeah. Most Liverpool fans, and as I said, Carabao Cup is the greatest cup competition in the world in world football, but I want to see them win the Club World Cup. I'm sure all 3 of you two do as well. So
it's a competition Liverpool have never ever won in their history. There are 46 major honours, and the Club World Cup is not amongst them, which shows you that this is an opportunity that doesn't come along every year for Liverpool. It's 2 games. It's one that they're certainly expected to win on Wednesday against Monterrey, the Mexican side, and then puts them in the final on Saturday night against Flamengo, probably, which is likely to be a glamorous tie, isn't it, when you think of how big they are in Brazilian football, against a Carabao Cup competition that's only in the quarterfinals, and they've still got to play 4 times before they could win it. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Send the senior stars to Qatar and come back as world champions and push on and try and win the Premier League. But there's no debate there for me, personally.
It's not even just the fans, is it? You think how much Klopp and those boys will be the first players, the first manager to lift that trophy. They'll be chomping at the bit to win that. You know, they will be the first. They will be the only trophy that has ever won in the club's history. You know, the illustrious history that Liverpool have. So yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Whether you think that the Club World Cup, Matt, isn't, you know, some people don't think it's worth the paper it's written on, but the chance to say you're world champions. I mean, the Carabao Cup is the greatest cup competition in the history of football. But
the more you say it, the more it's true.
Yeah, rather than say you're Carabao Cup champions, the chance to say you're world champions, you don't want to pass that up, do you?
Well, no, exactly. I mean, this isn't something that you can go for every year. Liverpool could win the Carabao Cup next year if they really wanted to. I mean, this is an opportunity that doesn't come around too often. I think is it 4 times that they've played in it before and not won it. So, I don't know. I mean, I also think, to be honest, with the Carabao Cup, as much as you joke about it, I mean, if Liverpool won it...
Sorry, what do you mean? I'm not joking. It is the greatest cup competition in the history of football.
Yeah. But no, I mean, if Liverpool won it, would anybody, apart from yourself, Joe, would anybody really care that much?
I think they would, Matt. I think a lot of people care. I think if you were asking Liverpool fans to prioritise trophies this season, they would probably say well, they probably wouldn't even think about the FA Cup, and then they would say Champions League, Club World Cup, Premier League, out in front, Carabao Cup, wouldn't they?
I would have to disagree. But,
it's an interesting point you raised, though, in what you just said. If Liverpool really did want to win the League Cup next year, to put all their eggs in one basket, they could go out and win the League Cup. For definite. Yeah. And they might not be playing in the World Cup, Club World Cup for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. You never know. So I think, you know, it makes total sense, doesn't it?
Sorry, Matt. Last time Liverpool were in this competition was 2005, which shows you that it's not something that's even, not even like a World Cup where it's every 4 years. You have to be the best team in Europe to even have a sniff of it. So Liverpool, for me, have got to put all their eggs in that Qatar basket this week.
It is exciting, isn't it? I mean, you hear a lot about teams like Flamengo and even Monterrey, and you hear about players that they've got, but you don't ever get to see them, do you? No. And you never get to see Liverpool, even in pre-season friendlies, test themselves, because the seasons fall at different times, don't they? Test themselves against these teams. So, I mean, that in itself, I'm fascinated. I can't wait to watch it. And I remember watching the one in 2005 and being like really bought into this tournament in Japan and just thinking
that
how much different
it
is.
Wasn't it, for Liverpool? But
yeah, it was. But look, it's exciting that kind of the players are there now. That they did their first open training session today. No sign of Virgil van Dijk, but no reason to be concerned.
Well, it doesn't seem so. As I wrote in a piece on the Echo website, Anfield sources remain tight-lipped about what it might actually be, but you know, we have an understanding that he's not injured, he's not suffering with an injury, which is obviously positive. It will be a blow if he's not available to play Monterrey, but look, Liverpool have got super talented players, and that's why they brought out a squad of 20 so they can replace and chop and change should they need to. And a Mexican side in Monterrey shouldn't need Virgil van Dijk to be in the heart of defence to stop them scoring.
Saying that though, who, Matt, would they play? I mean, they're going to fly Kijana Hoover and Sepp van den Berg, by the looks of things, out to the tournament, and Elliot, out to the tournament immediately after the Carabao Cup game. But if Van Dijk, for any reason, doesn't play on Wednesday, who the hell are they going to play at centre half?
I have absolutely no idea, to be honest, because I mean, my initial reaction would have been, one of the midfielders would be Gini Wijnaldum could go back there, but of course he's injured as well.
He's done it. Well, it was Chan, wasn't it? I'm thinking of. Did he play in the back three?
He played at Brighton,
Milner, Henderson. Someone would fill in, wouldn't they?
James Milner.
In an ideal world, you would move to a back three to protect that player who's out of position, but they haven't got the luxury of doing that. Have they?
2 midfielders then in the back three, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think James Milner would probably end up doing it just because there's
nobody
else, and he's played
really
everywhere else, so why not? Yeah.
He'd probably do it quite well, wouldn't he? Knowing James Milner,
just really solid game,
and he'd end up finishing the season playing every game in centre half.
Van Dijk on the bench,
Gomez and Milner the rest of the season.
So, Gorsty, tell us all about how Monterrey play.
They get it wide, plenty of pace in wide areas.
Yeah. In all seriousness, I will ask Matt, because Matt, you did a little bit of research on Monterrey.
I did.
Yesterday. Got some slightly familiar faces. A brother
A familiar
of a former
face.
Everton player, and Victor Janssen, who used to play for Tottenham.
Vincent Janssen, yes.
Janssen.
Although I do believe he is a doubt for the game through injury, so
right,
he may not be playing. But yes, certainly one name that Liverpool fans will be familiar with, and Funes Mori's brother as well.
Yeah.
Twin brother of Ramiro Funes Mori, formerly of
Is
Everton.
it Rodrigo?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and he scores a few goals, does he? He's a centre forward.
He is. He's a centre forward. He's actually been keeping Janssen out of the side anyway. Janssen's been coming off the bench even when he's not been injured. So it does go to show that they've got a little bit of depth in that squad. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on.
Are they like a force to be reckoned with in Mexico? Are they not? Like, did they win it at a canter or?
They actually struggled in their league. They only just got into, well, they have a sort of strange system over in Mexico where they have, I think, 16 teams in the league. If you come in the top 8, you then go into a sort of Champions League style thing. So they just about scraped into 8th position, but they've made the final of the knockout stage of their league.
Right,
So
okay.
even though they're 8th, they could still end up winning
Good at
their
knockout
title.
football.
Yeah.
Well, fair
So
enough.
how much we read into that, I don't know. But yeah, they seem to have struggled a little bit. But more recently, I think they've gone 14 or 15 games without defeat now. So they're in decent run since their new coach came in.
Mexican football expert Matt Addison there, thank you very much.
Got himself a hole there, man.
Testing my memory.
Yeah, fair play. I couldn't believe it. He kept going and kept going. Oh, I don't know much, but 14 matches unbeaten.
Yeah.
I don't even know what colour they play in, do I?
Vincent Janssen doesn't get a look in.
Yeah.
Fancy Connor to get in ahead of him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it says one thing, doesn't it? When you leave the Premier League, go all the way to Mexico and you still can't get in the team. Yeah, it hasn't worked out for him. Okay, so I suppose we should go through our teams and try and pick some teams for each tournament. Let's start with the greatest cup competition in the the history of world football, the Carabao Cup. Paul, well, everyone, Kelleher in goal.
Yeah,
is what we know
Absolutely.
will happen. Right back.
Keanu Hoover.
Well, don't think you play centre half?
I don't think Liverpool have got a second
lack
right
of
back to
options.
play ahead of him. I think it's going to have to be Boys and Van den Berg at centre back, isn't it?
Boys and everyone go along with that?
Yeah, well, we spoke about it before, didn't we? And Matt suggested boys. I had Hoover and I had Van den Berg in the middle together because I know that is Hoover's kind of natural position where he can play on the right, but you just think with just the lack of options at fullback, he's just going to have to play right back, isn't he?
Morgan Boys is a young French international. Is that right?
French? I don't think so. I think he's
Who's
Welsh.
Comento. Oh no, Comento's the French international.
Billy Cometio, yeah.
Well, France,
Yeah.
Wales. Not
Yeah.
that much difference, is
Too
it?
far, Harry.
Billy Cometio could actually be an option. I know he's very young. I think he's still only 16, but very physical, very tall, strong. So yeah, possibly he could come in, but he has made a couple of mistakes this season. So yeah.
Tony Gallagher left backs.
Yeah, I think we, as we said before, I think it's going to have
glancing
to.
at his paper again.
Yeah, going to have to be Tony Gallagher.
If
isn't it?
Larouci, we understand Larouci's going to make the bench. That's the word from.
Ah, right, okay.
But if he's there, he could possibly play. It just depends. He would be one of the most senior names in that side. He's played a couple of games for Liverpool, hasn't he? So
He's played further forward as well. Hasn't he? He's played
Yeah.
pretty much every position.
well, he came as a winger, didn't he? And then they moved him to left back, and he's a decent defender. I've watched him a couple of times, and he's good. But you'd think if he's got a chance of playing, he can play. He's going to be in the team because of the lack of option. But yeah, if he's not, then it's got to be Gallagher. hasn't it?
He's actually been playing up front quite a lot
Yeah,
recently.
he was number
so
9, wasn't he?
he's played all over the pitch. I'm not sure when the last time was he actually played left back, but if he has to, I'm sure he can.
Yeah. Okay. So midfield then. Herbie Kane, Pedro Chirivella, both of them two be in the team.
Yeah, I think probably Elijah Dixon-Bonner would be the favourite to join them in a midfield three at the minute, but.
Which is the double-barrelled surnamed lad that they signed from Arsenal? And which is the double-barrelled surnamed
Isaac
lad they
Christie
signed from
Davis.
Chelsea?
He plays a little bit further forward. I'd like to see Leighton Clarkson play. I mean, I always like watching him. Just wonder if he's a little bit too small to handle that. Yeah, but he's a good player.
So would it be a three-man midfield?
I would expect so. I mean, Christie Davis has been injured for a little while, but he is slightly older. I think he's 22 now, so potentially to go with a little bit more experience, if you can call it that, then possibly would go with him.
Okay, front three then. A possibility of Larouci. Harvey Elliott will certainly be in there.
Well, Ryan Brewster's going to be assessed because he's got an ankle injury, which has come at the worst possible time for everyone connected with Liverpool, really. He would have been probably one of the leaders of that team, wouldn't he? So hopefully he's okay and he can slot into that number 9 role. Because if not, I've no idea who it's going to be, to be honest.
Yeah, you speak about players leading the line for teams, don't you? He would certainly have been in that position, to lead Liverpool out and to lead Liverpool from the front, press high, but he'd be a big, big miss if he doesn't play, so you got to hope.
Yeah, and then you're looking at Leighton Stewart, who's...
Scores goals.
He does, but he's, 16, is he? Yeah, so it's a difficult one. Harvey Elliott, I'd imagine, will start. Another chance to see him in action. I know he always kind of catches the eye, doesn't he?
He's a confident young lad, isn't he? Harvey Elliott. I've seen him taking the penalty the other night. But, well, who have you got in your piece of paper?
So Brewster, hopefully, if he makes it.
Oh,
Harvey Elliott as well, and Louis Longstaff as well.
Louis Longstaff,
probably the most likely out of those, to fill that third spot. But we will see.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a. Well, first of all, you two taking your kits.
Might as well bring our boots.
Do you know what? I've recovered from a really serious hand injury over the last 6 months, so I'm available.
You know what, Gorst? He's like, you demand to play centre forward, and then they'll put him at centre half.
Give me the number 9 shirt.
Yeah.
Bring the average age right up.
Yeah. Double it. Right. Predictions then. It is. I know this is almost pointless because it's very difficult to predict, but I think they'll make a good account of themselves tomorrow.
If Aston Villa play their regular team, the likes of Grealish and Carlos Sanchez and Wesley and whoever else, it's difficult to see how this young, inexperienced Liverpool side are going to come away without a defeat. That's not being defeatist. I think that's just being realistic, and they'll all have earned so much more respect before kick-off. But I can't really see them winning this one.
I am probably the most optimistic person I know, and I'm going to say I hope Liverpool will score.
I think they will. I think they might lose sort of 3-4-1. And I know 4-1 sounds awful, but I think 4-1 in the circumstances and depending on how they play can be respectable.
Yeah, I think probably 3-1 is a fairly likely scoreline. I think if Liverpool keep it to no more than 2 goals that they lose by, I think they'll take massive confidence from that.
But imagine if they do win. The scenes at Villa Park tomorrow night will be unbelievable. And there's a chance in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One game, 90 minutes, you never know. You never know.
Look, if you look at the previous round, Liverpool's team against Arsenal was far less inexperienced than than Arsenal's team. And I thought they were the better side throughout most of the night and got through on penalties and in what was a crazy game, and if they inject a bit of that craziness into it, you never know, do you?
Yeah, I think the fans going to Villa Park are going to be behind this Liverpool team more than they will have been for, since probably the Champions League final, but it's rare Liverpool go into a game as a rank underdog, so it'll be interesting to see how it kind of develops. Yeah.
Okay, let's pick our team and make our prediction for the second game of the week then.
The second game of the 24 hours.
The 24 hours, I should say, yeah. Monterrey on Wednesday night. Alisson in goal.
Of course.
Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. You don't think there's any chance that he would rotate slightly for this one, or do you think it will just be...
No, I think he's going for it. He's taking everybody out there. I think he's going for it.
Yeah. I think he could, because I think Liverpool shouldn't have too much in the way of an issue getting past Monterrey, even if he did make 5 or 6 changes. Milner could play left back, maybe.
No, if he's a centre back.
Good point.
So we think that the back four will be the back four that turned out against Watford.
I would imagine so. I would think so.
Yeah.
Who's in midfield then?
Probably James Milner if he's not needed elsewhere. I can see him getting a game. I would imagine Jordan Henderson will play.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, with Wijnaldum out,
I think Keita plays.
Keita probably will come back in.
Keita as well,
yeah. Well, he could go for Oxlade-Chamberlain, but he could also put him in the front line as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he could. I think it's either a toss-up between Keita or Oxlade-Chamberlain, isn't it? I don't think there's going to be too many games where he plays both. I'd go with Keita just because of the form he's been in.
Yeah. And then usual front three.
I'd be tempted to start Origi,
Really?
If one of them ahead of Firmino, maybe. I think he's been a little bit out of form of late. Might be a little bit tired. Played a lot of football. If you think about the Copa America in the summer as well, hasn't had any real break since he's broken into the Brazil side. And yeah, I think I'll maybe just give him a rest to put Origi in.
Hopefully save him for the final sort of thing. Fair enough. Okay, predictions.
4-0.
4-0?
3-0 maybe?
3-0?
Yeah, 3-0.
I'm going to say 2-0. I think it might take them a little while to get to grips. Different style, different part of the
I
world
think
that
they've
they'll
got
be
too much
playing.
quality.
But yeah, well, there you go. So hopefully they'll progress and this fixture chaos continues and we just have 68 games in January. And we can do a pod every
day,
every 15 hours or whatever. Right, that's your lot for today. We'll be back on Friday where we'll be talking about these two games and plenty more besides. See you then. Ta-ra.